Hello everyone, it's time to work on switch multiple selection structure. The switch multiple selection structure. Switch is typically a selection structure and an alternative to the long string of if. So in the previous lectures, we talked about the selection structure and especially if and if-else statement. And we also worked on nested if-else statement. The basic purpose of using if statements is to select one of the statement or the block of statements. So if you have to write multiple if statements, then you have to check the multiple Boolean expressions. And depending on the result of those Boolean expressions, whether it's true or false, if it's true, then in that case only, you can execute the statement or the block of statements corresponding to that if statement. Instead of checking those Boolean expressions, in switch statement, we have the test variable. So that is a variable and the variable can have multiple values. It consists of a series of case labels and an optional default case. So what happens, it not just only contains the test variable, but also it contains a series of case labels and an optional default case. The general format of switch statement is that you have the keyword switch and within the parenthesis, we have the variable. This is the same variable that we talked about in our previous lectures. That variable have a name, it have a data type, and it can have different values. So after that, we have this curly brackets, and you can see that this is the whole block of the switch structure. And within this block, we have different statements, and one of the statement will be executed depending on the value that a variable contains. You can see that the case is a keyword. So you have to write a case over here and then the value the variable contains. So variable contain different values like value 1, value 2, value 3, value 4. So you have to write directly that specific value in front of this case keyword. And then after that, you have the full colon and then you have these statements over here. After that, you have the break statements, and this break statement is must if you want to come out of this switch structure and you don't want to execute all the other statements. So similarly, we have to write different cases. You can see that we have this case value 2 and case value 3. So if one of these values we get in the variable, you have to execute this statement. So if whether value 2 occur or value 3 occur, we will execute this statement and we will come out of this switch structure as we have the break. And what if none of these cases gets true? Then what will happen? Each switch structure contains this default case as well. So default is not checking any condition. It just comes by default to this case default when none of these cases is true. Default, full colon, and you have these statements and then break, and we will come out of this switch structure. Expression. Variable in the braces after switch must be of type integer or character. So this is the same variable that we were talking about, like the test variable, and that variable can have multiple values. So, but with the type of that variable, it can have either integer or it can be character. So it is the controlling expression of switch statements. Why it is called controlling expression is that it contains different values, and depending on those value, we are going to select a single statement or a block of statement out of many statements. So the keyword case must be followed by a constant. So what the value we are checking, that constant where we have to write that constant would be right after the case keyword. And then look at this, another very important, this is the break statement. This is required unless you want all the subsequent statements to be executed. If you want that all the subsequent statement must be executed after getting one of the result positive, then you don't write break statement. But usually we don't want a certain situation in which we want that all the statements must be executed. What are the basic rules? The following rules apply to a switch statement. You can have any number of case statements within a switch. Each case is followed by a value to be compared to and a column. The constant expression for a case must be same data type as the variable in the switch. So obviously, the variable that we have written within the switch structure, like we write switch within the parentheses, we write a variable, and I told you that that variable have some data type. So the values that you are assigning to that variable must belong to that specific data type. Let's suppose you have this controlling variable or the controlling expression within the parentheses of the switch statement. Its data type is integer. Then in this case, the values that you define after case statements must be of integer. So you are checking the integer values against the integer variable. And that's the correct syntax. And if you violate this rule, you will get an error. When the variable being switched on is equal to a case, the statements following that case will execute until a break statement is reached. So I've already explained this. When a break statement is reached, the switch terminates and the flow of control jumps to the next line following the switch statement. So obviously, when we have the break statements, we will come out of the switch structure, and whatever the remaining part of the program, those statements will be executed. Not every case needs to contain a break. If no break appears, the flow of control will fall through to subsequent cases until a break is reached. A switch statement can have an optional default case, which must appear at the end of the switch. The default case can be used for performing a task when none of the cases is true. No break is needed in the default case. As this is the last case, which is the default case, so there is no need to write the break statement, as we have to obviously come out of this switch state structure after this default case. So no need of break statement. Example. All the things would be clear by this example. So we will simply write this hash include iostream using namespace std, and within the main function, we are actually declaring a variable which name is grade and data type is character. As its data type is character, and we have assigned here the value d, the character value d. So you have two options, whether you just hard code it value, or you can here prompt the user to enter the value for the grade. So whatever he enter would be assigned to grade automatically, and then you are going to check the value of the grade and within this switch statement. So but here for simplicity, we just assign d grade to this grade variable. D is a character constant, and we have assigned it. And within this switch, we are checking this grade, and you can see that this is the curly brackets, which is the block of this switch structure. And we are checking whether the grade is A, B, C, D, F. And accordingly, we are just displaying some messages on the screen. So case, and then this is the value that a variable can have. So if this variable contains the character constant A, so you can see that it's confirmed that you have to write this character constant over here. You can see that it's enclosed in this single quote. And after that, you are writing over here the full colon and displaying that it's excellent. And then break. So if the grade value is A, then just excellent would be displayed on the screen. And due to this break statement, we will come out of this switch structure or the switch block. But if it doesn't get through, what will happen? It will check other cases, whether it's case B or case C. For both the cases, we can print on the screen that well done, and then break. And then if the case is D, it will display you passed. And for the case D, it will print on the screen you passed. And for case F, it will display on the screen better try again. And if none of these cases appear, what will happen if any other grades is entered by the user? Then what will happen? It will just go to the default case and display invalid grade, and then your grade is whatever you have entered. So you can see that we have the same program. Let's build it. Run this one. You can see that you passed, your grade is D, has been displayed on the screen. Now, what will happen if we just comment this break statement over here? As we know that the grade having the value D, so it will come toward this case and it will print you passed. And what if we just comment out by writing this double slash over here? And what will happen over here? We have just commented this break statement and we will see what is the effect of doing this. So you can see that you passed, it's displayed on the screen. After that, after passing, it's again displaying the message, better try again, which was actually associated with the F grade. And your grade is D. So it's not much good version. So you have to take over whether you want the subsequent statements to be executed or not. If you don't want, just write break statement over here. This would be the result. You passed, your grade is D, which is correct. Reviewing character and data type. As we know, a computer can process character data too. CHAR, char, this is short for character, can be any single character from the keyboard. To declare a variable of type char, you have to just write char and the variable name. Any variable name can be assigned. Here we have letter as the variable name, having the data type of character. Character constants are enclosed in single quotes. So what type of value we can assign to these character variables? It's the character constant, and how we recognize that? We have to enclose these character constants within a single quote. String of characters, even if only one character is enclosed in double quotes. So this is the single character, and we know that this is must situation, that you have the single character and you cannot write more than that. And you have to write this within a single quote. So if you are writing the double quote, even in that case too, you can write a single character over there. If A is enclosed in double quotes, this is a string of characters containing one character. And if it is included in single quotes, then it is the value of type character. So from character to integer, and then you can go from integer to character. It's possible to store character values in integer variables, an important feature of C++. Characters are repeated as 1 byte integer in computers, so we can treat a character as either char or int depending on its use. So you can see that we have their int value A, and this A is enclosed in a single quote. And you can see that value, this is the variable having the data type integer. And what we are doing over here, this is the variable of integer data type, and we are assigning this value as character data type. What's going on? This seems to be incorrect, but it's okay. Don't worry. We can write this as well. Like you know that each character have its corresponding ASCII code. So what will happen? Its ASCII code will be assigned to this variable value. So A have an ASCII value of 65. So 65 would be assigned to this value. Value will contain an integer expression A, that is value equal to 65. Similarly, it is possible to store int values in character variables. So you can see that we have this character letter. This is the variable. And what we are doing here, we are just assigning an integer value. What it was expecting, it was expecting a character constant, but what's going on over here? 97, which is an integer data type, it's being assigned to this character letter. So basically 97 is a numerical representation of lowercase a. So simply it would consider as it's entered as a, small a. Result of the above statements is letter A. Use single quotes to get numerical representation of a character. So just see this another important statement. What we are going to do is the character A has the value. If you want to find the value of the character, then how you can find that? Just write within the parentheses, right over here A, and within single quote you have written this character output. The character A has the value 97. So even if you are going to um, assign 97 to the character letter, it's okay. What's going on over here? 97 is the ASCII code of A. No, automatically it will assign to A, small a would be assigned to this letter. Comparing if-else with switch with the help of an example. However, as an alternative to the long strings of ifs, you can use switch statements. Department is the control variable and is integer. Compare the department to cases and print the department it matches. You can see that the controlling variable here is department. So we are checking the values of the department, whether the value of department is 1, 2, or 3. And if none of these cases is true, then it will go to the default case. So case 1, it will display human resources. For case 2, it will display sales. And for case 3, it will display information system. A switch statement that displays department name based on the department number.